Hi, I'm Alvina Ling,
And I'm Grace Lynn.
and we're book friends.
Forever!
We're childhood friends,
Who grew up to be
a children's book editor.
and an author and illustrator.
Welcome to Book Friends Forever. This is the Writing Communities with Julie Hedlund episode.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at bookfriendsforever_podcast.
So as you can tell from our episode title and also our video if you're watching, we have a special guest joining us. Welcome, Julie.
Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're happy to have you. So Julie Hedlund is an award-winning picture book author and founder of the 12 by 12 Picture Book Writing Challenge. And Julie, you actually bid on the Kindling Words auction to raise money for our scholarship fund. So thank you so much for bidding and donating. And it's wonderful
Yay.
to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more for our audience?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm the founder of the 12 by 12 Picture Book Writing Challenge, which in the challenge, the main goal is to try to write a first draft every month of the year for each month of the year.
Wow.
But, we also have lots of education and webinars and community, which is what I know we're going to dig more into that. But both of you have also been part of another initiative that I'm a part of, which is Picture Book Summit.
Right.
That is an annual online conference specifically for picture book creators. And Grace, I think it was just a couple years ago that you were there, and Alvina, it was a couple years before that. So thank you. Thank you for that. And
It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Run that with my co-founders, Emma Walton Hamilton and Katie Davis. And then Emma Walton Hamilton and I also have the Complete Picture Book Submissions System, which is a full course that teaches picture book authors and illustrators everything they need to know about submitting to agents and editors. So, needless to say, between my own writing and 12 by 12 and Picture Book Summit and all of that, I am very passionate about picture books.
Do you want to name some of your book titles? Because I realized I did not give the titles.
Sure. So my most recent title is Song After Song, The Musical Life of Julie Andrews.
Aw.
And that took a good 10 years to get published. Overbear Underwear, illustrated. I should say Song After Song is illustrated by Ilaria Urbanati, who did an incredible job. And Overbear Underwear could not be more different. Funny, punny, wordplay book, illustrated by Michael Slack. And the others that I have are unfortunately out of print now because the publisher went out of business. But
sorry.
I think you can still grab them on Amazon. Not that we want
Or the library.
Or the library. Yeah, not that we want people to be buying books from there, but anyway, so
Great.
And I always have lots of stuff in the hopper that I'm working on.
Right. I mean, if you're writing 12 a year for...
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
Just to be clear, I wish. And I actually started the challenge because I had found myself working on the same two manuscripts for like 4 years. And I realized I was going to get nowhere fast. And I despise writing first drafts. I really, really love revision and I hate drafting. But what 12 by 12 does for me is it just forces me to write more than I would on because I would never, I would always find an excuse. I'm a procrastinator anyway.
That's great. Yeah, you got to create the tools that you need.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So as you know, we always start with catching up with each other's lives. So Grace, I know you've been traveling. How have you been?
Oh, yes, I have been traveling. Actually, I just got back last night at about 2 in the morning, so that's
Oh
why
my
I'm a little bit
gosh.
out of it. And I've definitely hit that age where the travel doesn't just roll off of you anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like really a little out of it and kind of tired. But I was in Madeira, California for a literacy conference. I was the afternoon speaker, and Jerry Craft was the morning speaker, and it was really, really nice to spend a little bit of time with him. And yeah, and
He's
the
so
everybody was
nice.
really great there, and yeah, and I was really, really lucky because my flights got in and out without any problems.
Wow.
So which was a miracle in itself.
Yes, winter travel is always
So
a
yes.
crapshoot.
Definitely. But yeah, so everything went really great. So thank you so much, the educators in Madeira, California for having me. And yes, but I'm completely zonked and a little bit if I babble or do not babble or whatever I do today, I am not responsible for.
We forgive you in advance.
Yes.
Julie, how have you been?
I'm good, thank you. And really, most of my life, the past few weeks, has been taken up with 12 by 12 registration.
Mm.
We are only open until February 15th, although I am gonna keep it open longer for your listeners.
That's great.
But but yeah, so the first half of January and the first half of February are pretty much all about registration every year. And this year is no different. But, it's a blessing to be able to contribute in this way. And so it's like, huh. I wonder what have I been doing what could I talk about that would even seem interesting? Because it's like a lot of webinars, a lot of social media posts, a lot of, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Not much writing, but I do have my critique group meeting tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
great. So for me, I have the main thing I wanted to just mention is so I've mentioned my friend Tracy Shaw, who's a art director here for picture books. And she turned 50 this past weekend. And so we had, my husband and I had volunteered our apartment for her husband to kind of help throw her a 50th birthday party. And so Kirk Bunchoff is her husband, and he's creative director of At First Second. So it's a very artistic family. And so he did, most of the planning, although, we, of course, helped. And about a week before the party, he had sent out an update to the Evite saying, like, please, the party was starting at 5, but he said, please do your best to arrive before like 7, because I think he said, like, a special guest from Tracy's past. And I didn't know, so I was like, "Oh, who could it be?" And then he called, and he said, "So, I hired a Elvis tribute artist," which he and Tracy had kind of bonded over their love of Elvis when they first started dating, and they had like an Elvis perform at their wedding, and so we were like really kind of excited and also curious, like, how is this going to turn out? Um, the party went well. I will say Elvis arrived a little late. He got a little lost. And then when he showed up, he was more of an elderly man than we maybe expected. But we had Tracy like down in the basement, so she wouldn't know, and most of the guests didn't know either. Like they knew there was going to be some kind of guest, but they didn't know who. Although a couple guessed. Um, and Elvis couldn't find parking, so Kirk had to like ride with him to the Brooklyn Museum parking lot to park there, and then walk back. And he wasn't really prepared to walk so far in the weather anyway. But it was
Elvis has to
still
take the subway.
it was incredible. Actually, he could have, I guess, taken the subway one stop from the Brooklyn Museum.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, but it just turned out it was so amazing. Kirk gave a little toast, and he had planned it so at the end of the toast, Elvis would walk in saying, "Wait, I have something to say too." And he came in, and Tracy was absolutely flummoxed and shocked, and it was everyone was like just cheering, and he probably he would have I think he would have kept going, and we would have all kept going, but I think he did about like 6 songs, and it was just.
Aw.
It was so fun. So and afterwards we were like, did Elvis just perform in our apartment? Like,
That's so fun.
that was really fun. And then the other two things I'll mention is, so last week, actually, Libby Capone, our friend, Grace, my friend, she stayed at our house one night on her way back from Scotland, from Call. And it was great to see her and kind of catch up. And we went on a nice cold morning walk the next day. And I actually hadn't been outside much since the storm, and I hadn't seen Prospect Park with all the snow. So I was really excited to walk, but it was really cold. So as we started walking, we're like, we're not going to last very long, but let's at least make it to the park and see it and then come back. And so that was really great. Um, and then the other thing is like because of the snowstorm, we were just binging the TV show Shogun.
Oh, how do you think of, what did you
Oh,
think
I
of that?
love that
So
show.
good. So, my husband had watched it back when I think was it last year or 2 years ago? And he
I'm not
loved
sure.
it. And I just never got around to seeing it. And then he said, I kind of want to watch it again. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it this time. It was I mean, I'm kind of obsessed. We just finished it two nights ago. And
I
it's,
watched it over Thanksgiving with my son. He had
yeah.
seen it before and he had his wisdom teeth pulled,
Oh,
because this is what college kids do on their breaks so that they don't have to miss school.
right. Yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time just hanging out. And so we watched the whole thing over the break, and it was so fun.
Yeah, it's so
And I
good. I mean,
loved
it
it.
is very violent, I will say.
Yes,
But Grace,
yes.
since your resolution is actually to watch more TV this year, I would highly recommend it. I think you would like. I think you, Alex, and Hazel would all
I guess that would
really
be
enjoy
more,
it.
do you think it's more appropriate than heated rivalry?
Yes, 100%. There is some nudity, sex, but actually not that gratuitous, I will say. But it is violent. Like there are
Hmm.
like heads on stakes and a
Yeah.
man
I don't know
boiled
if I
alive.
like, I mean,
alive.
like, I remember when Game of Thrones was really big, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I
I
can't
don't
do
think
that.
it's like that.
It's
And
Okay.
not as
there's
bad as Game of Thrones
no.
because
Okay.
I quit watching Game of Thrones halfway through the first season because I just couldn't take the violence. It
Yeah.
just
Like,
felt
I don't
so
have a,
gratuitous.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
my stomach can't take that much violence.
I think you
So,
would it's not overly gratuitous. It
okay.
feels like of the time and
That's
yeah.
yeah, that's the way I felt too, that oddly some of it was cultural,
Hmm.
related, like you said, to that time period and to the ethics of however we may view them differently now.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem
Yeah.
it felt appropriate for the subject matter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think you would if you watched one episode, you would know,
If it
kind
was
of
like
what's
my
happening.
own.
But I did kind of gasp at the first like bit. And then Steven's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "No, no, I knew, it was just a surprising first killing, I would say."
Yeah. I think I'm easing in on like the Thursday Murder Club, like
Yeah.
going to go that way direction first, but
Yeah. By the end of the year, you'll be ready.
by the end of the year, I'll get to Shogun.
All right. So we wanted to talk about writing communities today. So you mentioned 12 by 12 and a little bit about the Picture Book Summit. I, if you, do you want to tell us a little bit about both, a little bit more about both, and also how you came to co-found them? I mean, you
Yeah.
said why, but I guess I also want to know the how.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually with 12 by 12, we're in our 15th year now,
Oh my
if you
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
believe. And
Congratulations.
then and thank you. And it's 12 years this year for Picture Book Summit.
Wow.
Grace graced our presence for the 10-year anniversary. But so yeah, like I said, I wasn't writing enough new material. And at the time, I just had a blog. I was pre-published. I didn't have an agent, so I didn't know anything. Blissfully did not know anything. And so I had a few followers on my blog, and I just said, "Hey, I think I'm going to challenge myself." I'd been inspired by NaNoWriMo, and then Tara Lazar started Story Storm that was like challenging one idea a day for 30 days. Back then it was in November. I thought that's kind of what I need. I need a way to light a fire under my feet. And I thought, maybe 30 people sign sign up, and it was like 300
Oh
people
my
the
gosh.
first year.
Wow.
And I started a Facebook group, and that was way before Facebook groups were cool. And now they're back to being uncool again, but nonetheless. Um,
So,
and
so back then, was it just like whoever wants to do it, or was there like an
yeah,
official
yeah.
registration or anything?
No,
Okay.
it was really just who I think I did have people sign up so that I could send emails and things.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a monthly check-in. I had a featured author each month on the blog, and that was it. And but the Facebook group, and this is where the community comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Facebook group was so active. I mean, people were, and it's still so true today. And there's something that just magical about the 12 by 12 Facebook group that I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen replicated. I think the closest is probably Kidlit 411, but because it's only picture books and because now people do register, and it's a smaller portion of the broader Kidlit community, it's like a rave, a picture book rave. And so many resources were shared that first year, and a lot of people were looking for agents and all of that. And so when I should have said I started it in 2012.
Wow.
So it was 12 by 12 in
Mm,
12. And
that's great.
as the year was coming to an end, people were emailing me like, "You're going to keep doing this, right? Like, it's not going to go away. We can't lose this." And I didn't want to let it go away either, but you know, 24/7, 365 days a year for free forever is also not going
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So, the follow I talked to a lot of members, like, what would you want if, if it started to be more of a paid program, and we added webinars and submission opportunities and all of that. But I still think that really the core of it is the community and
Mm-hmm.
how passionate people are about picture books and how much they want to help, and feeling like we all have friends everywhere
Yeah.
because we've met through 12 by 12.
So is the Facebook page or group still active? And
It
how many
is.
how many members are part of it
Well,
now?
typically we around 2000
Oh
each
wow.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like so you just
Um,
keep adding.
but what's interesting, what I love about it is that that seems like a big number, and it is. So it's big, but it's also small at heart,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and maybe part of it is me because that's sort of my personality. I grew up in a small town, and I'm very community driven and always want to make people feel welcome, get to know people. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
never wanted it to be this sort of anonymous group where somebody from on high comes down and delivers the learning and the whatever. I always wanted to make it really collaborative, and that is indeed what has happened. And yeah, the Facebook group is still as active as ever. And the questions that people ask can get so specific.
Hmm.
And but that's
But
where
there
the
are a
big
lot of
that's
people
where
who
the
can answer.
yeah, that's where the big comes in, right? Where somebody has dealt with that un
Hmm.
inevitably. And so yeah, you can probably tell from the way I talk about it just how much it means to me because spoiler alert, this is a very difficult business.
Yeah, it sure is.
You
And
don't say.
no, I mean, maybe that's just me, but um, and having people who really understand that from the inside out and who can help when things are tough, and then who also will really celebrate when those great things happen that
Hmm.
tend to be fewer and farther in between. So,
Do you
yeah.
have a
Have you noticed?
lot of repeat?
Yes.
Yes. So what
Mu-
percentage would you say?
That's a good question. Probably 75%.
Hmm.
Hmm,
And some have been there since year
The beginning.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace, what were you going to ask?
Oh, I was going to ask, have you noticed a big difference, like any changes between year one to now? Like, what are any big changes come to mind?
Um, yes. So I I think that because a lot of people have heard of 12 by 12 before they join, a lot of time the new people say, I've been looking at this for like 3 years and I finally decided to bite the bullet and join this year. And so I think what's nice is that there's less education about how it works and what we're all about, and because people have heard about it from other people. And the nice thing about that too is that people are really dedicated to the craft and the business of picture books. So while we do get people who are brand new to writing picture books all the way through, you know, people who've published 50 books or more,
Hmm.
I would say it's everyone though really knows like what's unique about picture books and is trying to figure out how to do the best job of creating them.
That's nice.
They're
Have
they're
you?
not sorry, they're not people who are like, I have this one idea that, I got from my grandkids and I'm going to
Yeah.
do whatever it takes to get this one book published. Not that there's anything wrong
Right.
with that because those have their place,
Yeah. But
but
it
it's
seems
just,
like the philosophy of 12 by 12 is
yeah,
It's like it's
a
right.
for
bit,
career authors.
Correct.
and just
Yeah.
to
Correct. It's
keep,
people.
don't you want to keep writing and keep writing
Yeah.
new
Yeah,
things.
you have to, or you're
Right.
gonna collapse under your own weight eventually, under the
Have
weight of
you,
that story.
this is a little bit of a random question, but I'm just because it seems like such a big responsibility. The Facebook group, did you ever run into moderation
Yeah.
issues?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. Um, but I do a lot of training around that. We have a very active DEI committee. And so a couple of years ago, we worked with a DEI consultant who came in and helped us create sort of the community rules and
Hmm.
the Facebook rules because we did have, I'm happy to say that it's happened so seldom that I can count it on one hand.
That's great.
But at the same time, I take that very seriously.
Yeah.
And you can't, one of the things that I've learned, and now I'm kind of going a little sideways on this too, is that you can't necessarily undo the damage
Mm.
that happens when somebody is really hurt
Yeah.
by something, you know? And so it's always my goal to make sure that never happens. And
It's a
now
good
we
goal.
have an infrastructure with the rules and the moderation and all of that, that it's very clear that
Mhm.
if you um, say something hateful or whatever, you're gone,
You're out of there.
and that's
Yeah.
it. And it's instantaneous, you
Right.
know.
That's great.
Um, and so I last year was a bit of an anomaly because it was just such a really hard year for me personally in a lot of
Yes.
ways. But I usually whole do a webinar where I talk to the membership about what it means to be a member of the community and all of
Hmm.
that. So, but yeah, and I think the fact that it is a membership program, you do have to, there is a fee to join.
What is the
It
fee?
it's 199 for new
Hmm.
people.
Okay.
Returnees actually have a discount.
Hmm.
And they have a special link for that, but they usually it's like 20 or $25 less for
Hmm.
so it's funny, like people coming in for their second year pay less than they did the year before. So, but it does, I think the fact that you do have to commit not just to being in the group, but also some money, it does weed out a little bit of the people who troll around,
Yeah.
looking for opportunities.
It's like going
Hmm.
to the gym. Like if you have to pay for the gym membership, you're more likely to go.
Right. And
Exactly.
not abuse it.
And so like another rule is no generative AI,
That's great.
and that you can't take anything that anybody shares in the group and put
Steal
it
it.
into. Now,
Yeah.
do I have a way of enforcing that? No.
Yeah.
But
Honor
nobody
code.
nobody has to ask why we have that rule in place,
Yeah.
So
So you mentioned that you were pre-published when you started this. Can you talk a little bit about your publishing journey?
sure. I think like everybody in this publishing business, you have this vision or this idea of what it's going to be like when you're starting, and then um, you get a ways into it, and it's so different in both amazing ways, but also in some kind of not so amazing ways. But I was pre-published when I started, and like I said, I was pretty hyper fixated on two or maybe three manuscripts. And that first year, I wrote seven new, which to this day remains my personal record, but it's never less than four
Yeah.
because I have to post those accountability posts every
Hmm.
month, And after a while, if it's like 2 or 3 months have gone by and the founder is saying, I haven't written anything new, um, that starts to make me feel like I'm not a good leader.
Hmm.
So, um, once I had more work, then I started querying agents, and I actually met my agent at the Bologna Book Fair of all
Oh,
places.
wow.
Grace, you said something about how travel doesn't roll off quite the same way anymore.
No.
I look back on those years and I think I'm so glad I did that when I had the energy and just you know, the, oh yeah, I'm gonna stick my foot in that door and so it can't close on me, Um, and then it took about another year or so after that of revising manuscripts and so on. And we signed and we sold my book, My Love for You is the Sun. And then like 5 years went by where nothing, even though always submitting, always, and Overbear Underwear sold, and then song after song sold right after that. And I thought, yes, I'm getting my rhythm now. And so nothing is sold since since then. So I guess I'm just, everything's slow right now. I've got stuff on submission, but I'm like, okay, so maybe my rhythm is really more 4 or 5 years between books. But
Yeah.
But I think
Everyone's
it's
career is
probably
different.
hard to build momentum as a picture book author. Alvina, like, what do you think? Because I feel like it's the difference between picture books and say like novels, right? if you're a middle grade novel, you write fantasy, right? Let's just say, and then you write another fantasy novel, you write another fantasy, like, and then you become a fantasy writer. Um, but I kind of feel like picture books, it changes from like you can write a picture book on a beautiful nature story, and then it's like a hilarious underpants book, and then you have like a
Yeah, I think maybe
it's
for
like
some people it's harder
oh,
to have a brand, like an author
yes,
Yeah.
that's what I
brand.
meant.
There are some picture book author, like I think of Amy Dykman, for example. Like
Mhm.
she seems to have a good author brand of humorous picture books, usually about animals, but although not all. But yeah, I think it's I I think there are some writers who are extremely prolific. And I think
Yeah,
for them, it's almost like they write too, like they write faster than the publisher can publish them.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
because most publishers don't want to publish more than one, maybe two books by the same author in the same year. But,
Mhm.
some writers are really prolific. Yeah, they probably are writing 12 or more books every
Yeah,
year.
well,
Right.
I feel like, do you think that's changed, Alvina? I feel like in the past, at least when I was first starting, that was kind of the thing. Like publishers didn't want to publish like more than like one book a year by an author. But now I feel like that's all out the window because I see like my friend Kate Messner will have like 17 books in one year. And
But
you're
not
like,
by the
oh,
same
Not in the
publisher.
same
that's true.
publisher.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
And
she might have maybe two with the same publisher, but
Yeah.
probably not more than two. I think that like we definitely would do two, and we have, but it's unless it's a series, I
Mm,
can't really see us doing more than two a year. But,
I
if it has
also
a
think,
way different artist, then maybe,
yeah.
it's,
right. And I think it would help, and someday maybe I will get to this point, but if you write in multiple genres, then I
mhm,
think it can be easier because you're publishing middle grade over here or an early reader and a
mhm,
Yeah.
picture book. Because I think, I don't know, you guys would have more direct experience, but it seems like picture books are one of the most difficult things to sell, especially when you're not also an illustrator. And so it just takes longer. And
yep,
so part of my journey has been to accept that my journey is my journey and that the writing is the main thing.
Yeah.
mhm,
Whether or
yeah,
not it gets published is the writing is what
what fuels
feeds my
you, and
soul.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
And
great
not,
way
Yeah, I
to
think
think
that's
about it.
great. It's kind
Hmm.
of like the mantra that I've been using for myself for the past and it's really cliche, but it is the mantra. It's like, I'm running my own race. It's my own race. Like I'm
Mhm.
not running anyone else's race. So it's kind of
Hmm.
like that idea. And I think it's a really great way to keep
Yeah.
yourself sane.
Right. And I wouldn't be able to have a brand if I tried because I just like writing too many different kinds of things.
Hmm.
I mean, right now, all within picture books, but Song After Song is a lyrical picture book biography, and Over Bare Underwear is this slapstick, funny wordplay, bear in underpants
Yep.
kind of, although the bear isn't in underpants, but it's that kind of book. And so I have the two that I have on submission right now are funny, but the ones I'm working on, like one is lyrical and very old-fashioned kind of,
Hmm.
and I have another biography that it's of an object. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's,
like, could
yeah.
you just, but
No, you got
what,
right what moves you.
well, and then because of running 12 by 12 and Picture Book Summit and that's how I earn my living,
Hmm.
really. And so I have to, this is the other Zen that I've come to, is I have to write things that I really love writing
Hmm.
because I don't get that much time to write,
Yeah.
really.
No, that
And
makes
Yeah.
sense.
so I have to write the things that set me on fire, or else it's just
Hmm.
misery,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, true.
So, who do you consider your writing community? And how did you find it? Is it mainly from 12 by 12 or was it even from before?
Definitely through 12 by 12.
Okay.
Some of the folks who have been in 12 by 12 since the very beginning, of course, you
Hmm.
know,
And have you met a lot of people in real life at this point as well?
yeah, I
Yeah.
have. It's been, especially post-pandemic, I really made an effort to kind of get back out there.
Hmm.
So a couple years ago, I went to ALA for the first, well, actually, I had been before, but I went and organized some events for 12 by 12 members, and I went to like the I can never remember what they call it, the Midwest SCBWI, and had events there. And then I was in New York. Um,
Hmm.
and really, those are just about getting to be with members and hanging out with people. And um,
Yeah.
I am a rare extrovert, I guess.
Mm.
I think I'm becoming more introverted as I as I age, but I really missed being with people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for sure is my writing community. But then my co-founders of Picture Book Summit, Emma Walton Hamilton, Katie Davis, and Kelly Panique, those are like the people every day
Hmm.
who, you're working with every day, who hold you up. And I have a couple of local friends who we meet to write and critique and all of that. So it's like the broader one, but then within that, I have some people
Yeah.
who are very dear to me that are the ones like I would share my work with and so forth.
So, what would you say the importance of having a writing community is?
Oof. Well, I think right now, especially, it is essential to be around people who um, not just lift you up, but they also are feeling the same intensity and the pain. So without mincing words around it, because I've listened to your podcast for a while, and I know you've been talking about how heavy everything is, like what's happening in Minneapolis right now, and honestly, it's really the only thing that keeps me going is knowing that there are all these wonderful people
Hmm.
out there in the 12 by 12, but in the kidlit community who are trying to fight back, are trying to do good, continue to hold children in their hearts and working tirelessly
Yeah.
to make sure that they get access to the books that we know they need. And I don't know, I'm going to choke myself up, but I just honestly don't know how I would be getting through this time
Yeah. No.
without those people in my life. And one spark of hope that I feel that's really interesting to me is this year registration has been like um larger, like
Mm.
people frictionless,
Yeah.
m more people coming back, more people coming in, whereas last year it was like as soon as the inauguration happened it was like a black
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah.
And I understand that because uncertainty creates, you know, there was nobody knew how bad. I mean, we knew it was going to be bad, but we
Yeah.
had. Whereas now I think people are like, okay, what can I do
Hmm.
to A, shore myself up,
Yeah.
and B, contribute back and be part of something that's bigger than me. I don't know, it just feels different this
Yeah.
year for some reason.
That's interesting. I mean, I do think last year I feel like there was a deep depression that a lot of people were in, and it just made it really hard to act or do anything but be really depressed or and angry and depressed. And I
Mhm.
do think people are starting to stand up and fight back or just wanting to act more.
Yeah. And I
So
think just realizing that we all need each other, like
yep.
even in the smallest ways, if we're gonna
Hmm.
if we're gonna survive this,
Yeah.
like
That is hopeful though. I'm glad that you're seeing that.
It just is a feeling more than anything in
Yeah.
terms of the way it feels as people are coming in and the energy that they have and the excitement, even though, the market is doing what the market is doing and um and all of that. So I don't want to downplay the
Right.
hardship, but it does feel like like what Grace said, that people are realizing that we need each other
Hmm.
and being in it together however we can is better than going it alone.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I assume that one of the tips you would give to authors who are searching for a community is to join 12 by 12. But what tips would you give to authors who are searching for their own writing community?
Yeah, I think one tip is to look for people who write in your genre or format.
Hmm.
Which isn't to say that you can't have critique partners who write in middle grade and whatnot, but because in Kidlit, there's a pretty big disparities between what's appropriate for this versus what's appropriate for that. It's trying to find people who write, within that genre. Um, and I think outside of 12 by 12, there are places like SCB. I mean, of course, the
Hmm.
big one is SCBWI, which is the national organization. And then within the big umbrella organization, each region has chapters.
Hmm.
And I found, so when I was actually starting out before 12 by 12, I found a lot of people through my regional SCBWI. And that was my entry point. And I think it's that's a great way to, learn a lot very quickly. Um, and when you are in those groups, whether it's 12 by 12 or SCBWI, or, sometimes there are local folks who teach, like here in Colorado, Denise Vega, who used to be
Hmm.
the RA
I know
for,
Denise.
does Picture Book 101 courses in Denver,
Hmm.
So however you can go out there and find people, I think is a good thing. However you do it. I think groups like 12 by 12, especially because we're all online,
Hmm.
so it's immediate. You don't have to wait for the next meeting to come up or whatever. Um, s- so whether it's through that or going somewhere like through SCBWI or what have you, I think that one thing that holds people back is they're afraid, at least initially, of like, oh, are they gonna judge me? Are they going to, you know, take my ideas? Sometimes I hear that, or maybe I need to get better first, or maybe I need to get published
Mm.
first, to be quote unquote. We all have that imposter syndrome.
Yep.
And so I think the biggest tip would be just
Just do it.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you are always going to find somebody who is ahead of where you are and who is below where you are, and it's all good.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
right time to do it is now. Like, don't
Yes.
wait until you have reached X milestone, you
Right.
know?
That's great. What do you prefer, online or in-person community?
Well, now I have to say online just because it's logistically, it's
more,
much
it's easier.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It is.
and even with what I consider like my in-person people, it's really in-person over Zoom most of the time, you know. Um, so the convenience of it, but really you can develop very deep relationships with people online. I'll tell you a quick funny story. So NCTE was in Denver
Hmm.
this past November. And I decided to go, even though I wasn't speaking or anything. There were a whole bunch of 12 by 12 members. So I wanted to go and, put some events together. And Michelle Cusalito is
Hmm.
a longtime member of 12 by 12 and somebody I consider a very dear friend. And she said, "Oh, somehow it came out that like, why don't you just share my room?" Because we were both trying to keep expenses down. And the day before I left, my partner was like, "Wait, you you've never met this woman in person?" I'm like, "Okay, I hadn't even thought about that fact."
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Like I
Right.
know her,
Yeah.
I know her heart and soul. And she said the same thing that her husband kind of cautioned her, like, "Are you sure it's a good idea to spend
You're
like four
catfishing each other.
days in a and it was so fun and
Yeah.
great. It was like a slumber party,
That's,
Aw.
from
oh,
the olden days where, you're just hanging out with your best friend,
yeah. That's
staying up
nice.
late, talking after the lights are out kind of thing.
I know Michelle from Kindling Words, I guess, and maybe other things, but yeah, and
Yeah,
she's great. So,
she is.
yeah.
So nothing to worry
Um,
about there. She wasn't going to murder you.
yes.
No, no, no.
And you're
I could
great
take
too.
her.
So
She's, yeah.
it's a match, perfect match. All right, maybe last question. What is your favorite thing about having a writing community?
Keeping it keeps it real. And
Hmm.
it means that no matter what is happening in my particular moment or career or writing journey, somebody else has been there and understands
Hmm.
whatever it is. And it's good to be reminded of that on a very regular basis because we can very easily get into our own heads about oh, so and so is published, getting, seems to be getting deals left and right, or their agent seems to, you know, really push for them to get whatever, whatever. And the kinds of questions that people ask in the Facebook group, like, is it normal if your agent is only going to send out like 5 to 5 at the same time or whatever? And then you get everybody comes in. And
Yeah,
it's just good to be reminded that nobody has all the answers
yeah,
and that somebody is out there maybe either struggling with or working past the same thing that you are. And so you never feel so isolated or alone or like I'm the only one
yeah.
who is having this problem, you know?
That's great. I think we'll put this in the show notes, but do you want to just share I don't know, is
Oh,
there like a
sure.
website for 12 by 12?
Yeah, so because this, I think, will air next week, which is only
Hmm.
a few days before official registration ends, we've created a link for your listeners that will work through the end of February.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
that
great.
is 12 by 12 or 12x12
So the
challenge.com.
number 12, like 1, 2, X, 1,
One,
2.
two, X. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
good thing you said that because I never say that. For some reason, I always assume people know it's the number. Yeah. 12x12 challenge.com/BFF.
Oh,
Oh,
that's great.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're an
So,
affiliate link.
yes. Well, yes. But
Um,
yeah, that way we'll know. And
like if, yeah.
because I sometimes find it frustrating when I come across a podcast episode and they're talking about something that I'm excited and think is really cool, and then you go and it's like, oh.
It's so already. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for doing that.
Sure, thank you.
Um, all right, so now we'll move on to our fortune cookie segment. And we just thought we would just share what we've been reading lately. Grace, do you want to share first?
Sure. Okay. So, like I said, I was just in California and I was going to Fresno, California, so it was a very, very long flight with a layover. So I had plenty of time to read. And so I actually read which is usually, I don't really have that much time to read usually. But so my first book that I read was Game Changer, which is because those who listened earlier in earlier episodes know that I've been watching uh I keep calling it unheated. Been watching 1 minute clips of heated rivalry uh on my Facebook or on my Threads feed, right? So I have not watched the actual series. I've just watched basically the clean cuts in 1 minute, like 30-second 1 minute clips. And so I was curious, so I went and got the book. I guess I got Game Changers, which is the book that features the couple that
I've
I'm most interested in, which is
I
like the
have that
older
right
couple.
now on
Yeah.
audiobook. I don't really like the audiobook narrator though.
Well, I was like, I knew it was a really like sexy show because everybody says so, but I got the book. I was like, it's a really smutty book.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's sweet, it's sweet. But I was like, kept skipping and skipping, like, how much sex is in here? And I was like, if I take out all the sex scenes, it's like 50% gone. But I can see, but I realized I haven't really read a romance in a long, long time. And I'm like, oh, I think I kind of like the genre in terms of like it's the happy ending, like,
Yeah.
and you feel safe reading the whole thing because you
Mhm.
know it's going to be a happy ending.
Hmm.
And I feel like I can see the appeal and I feel the appeal, especially in these times. You just want to know that things are
Yeah.
going to be okay. So, yes. So I read Game Changers a little bit. I learned so much about gay sex that I never knew before. But I completely understand why people are into it. But then as a palate cleanser, I've I've been reading as listeners know, I've been reading and listening to a lot about Agatha Christie, and I was trying to figure out how that genre could fit for like a middle grade audience. So I've been trying to read middle grade kind of murder mystery kind of things. And so I read Shelby Holmes by Elizabeth Eulberg, who I've met before. And that one
Yeah.
was
She's
really
great.
cute. I really liked it. I loved her characterization of Shelby Holmes very much. And then the other one that I really liked was Premeditated Myrtle by Elizabeth Bunce, who I think I've met before too.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really good too. I realized that murder books work well for middle grade if it's historical. It works a
Hmm.
lot better
Mhm.
if it's historical.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So our mayor Zoran Mamdani during the snowstorm, I don't know how it happened. I meant to actually look that up, but he made Game Changer like available like for everybody at the
Uh-huh.
library, the ebook and the
Uh-huh.
audiobook, because usually there's like a license where you can't check, but
Yeah.
it's so that's why I downloaded it. It's very funny. I haven't really, I've only read like a chapter, so I haven't
Yeah.
gotten to any smut yet.
I was just like, whoa. That
Julie,
was fast.
what have you been reading lately?
So I was watching the Youth Media Awards a
Hmm.
week or so ago, and we always, for Picture Book Summit, we always order all of them like the minute they're announced so that we can
Oh, that's
do
great.
our own podcast episode and whatnot. Some of them I had already read, but interestingly, what really stood out to me was The Undead Fox of Deadwood
Mm.
Yes.
Forest,
Hmm.
which is a middle grade, and I don't read very much middle grade at all. Like I
Mm.
read picture books and then adult books usually. But I happen to be working on a picture book that may or may not feature some sort of undead creature. And just the title caught me, and the cover is so
Yeah,
beautiful.
the cover is gorgeous on that.
Oh, And I mean, I loved it. It made me feel like a child reading again, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And then I thought, what I wonder if what it is just loving fantasy middle
Mm.
grade, which is where the sweet spot was for me as a kid. So now I have and I've had owned this book for a while, but I decided now's the time when I'm in the mood. So I am reading The Girl, the Gate, and the Dragon. And
Aw.
I will confess that I am a complete sucker for sprayed edges and this, you know. And last
It
year I
worked.
was at the regional SCBWI in Colorado, and they had copies of it, and it was so beautiful. But I've been trying to talk myself out of buying books just because they have sprayed edges. And
Because there's
so
so many now.
Yeah.
I know, but I kept wandering by, and finally I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it. So I bought it.
Yay.
And after reading The Undead Fox, I was like, I want more of this. So I started reading. I'm loving it,
Oh, I'm
Grace.
so glad.
I
And
didn't realize there are some similarities a
yeah,
bit.
and
Yeah.
it's so it's such a beautiful object too, that I mean, in a way I'm kind of glad that they're doing this, because maybe that if that's the thing that gets people excited about reading, then
Yeah.
yay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
because I think I love it because it makes any kid who takes that physical book, it just like makes them realize this is something really valuable, and like and
Hmm.
Hmm.
that's always
Special.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have it in my suitcase, along
That's great.
with what I'm going to read next, which is Wreck by Catherine Newman. I read
Oh.
Sandwich last year. It was one of my favorite books. Basically menopausal, you know, woman between like kids growing and leaving the house and aging parents. And obviously that really resonated with me, and it was funny. And then I'm on a road trip right now. So I started a book that I had been wanting to dig into for a while, that's been in my audiobooks, which is So Far Gone by Jess Walters.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote Beautiful Ruins,
Hmm.
and I think this is his first book, first novel that's come out. And I am absolutely loving it. I love Beautiful Ruins, and I was somewhat skeptical about So Far Gone, because it's like, do I really want to read a book about how someone's loved ones who've gone off the deep end politically into
Mm.
conspiracy theories and all of this? But yes, I do, is the short answer. It's funny. The main character is so quirky and funny, and it's oddly hopeful.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
great. And I'll mention two books that I read. I mentioned that I had started reading Renee Watson's All the
Mm.
Blues in the Sky, which won the
So
Newbery
beautiful.
medal. And so I finished that. And yes, so beautiful. Just, just a portrait of grief,
Yeah.
different ways of dealing with grief, different types of grief. Um, and then I guess going back to romance, I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry,
Mm.
which, I thought I'd gone on an Emily Henry kick. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and I thought I had read them all, but I guess I had not read this one, which is the one they made into a movie. So that was really fun. I do love friends to lover type of, I love that trope the best. So I enjoyed it. All right, so let's end as we always do with what we're grateful for. I guess I can quickly start this year. So this episode. Actually, Grace. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but I know Grace and I think we have. We just really hate the AI search results in Google.
Oh yeah.
And so I learned, if you do minus AI, then it takes away, but then that's just like an extra step. And then I was talking to some friends, and then Stephen, my husband, said, back in the day, used to use DuckDuckGo, and then I stopped. And I said, oh, because I'd heard of it. Anyway, I downloaded it. It comes like on your phone. You can have it as an app. You can use it in your browser, like you can use it in Chrome. Like, I have to use Chrome for work, but you can make DuckDuckGo your default search engine.
Oh.
And I love it. You can, um, I think it's the default is like sometimes gives you AI, but you can set it to never. You can definitely set it to like never give you AI images. And I just like that it's just, I find the search just as good as Google. And in
Uh-huh.
fact, I found it better because it doesn't have, you don't have to scroll down. Because I would always
Yes.
scroll down past AI, scroll down past the
Yeah.
sponsored searches, and then you're like at the bottom of the page. And so it's actually, I'm very grateful to have discovered
Huh.
DuckDuckGo, and I have it on my phone. I have it on my desktop. So I recommend DuckDuckGo to anyone who also is frustrated by all the AI results.
Huh. That's cool. I
Hmm.
wonder if it works in China because I know Google doesn't work in China.
Oh, I
And
don't know.
yeah.
Yes, you can try
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Julie, what are you grateful for?
So I mentioned I'm on a road trip and I'm on my way to Uray Springs, Colorado. And my son is a student at Fort Lewis College. So I convinced him to come up and spend the weekend. So it's like an hour away from his campus and about 6 hours for me.
Oh,
But
wow.
it was like, if I want to see him, and so he's coming in tomorrow and we're going to go to the hot springs and just hang out. And so I'm really
Nice.
grateful for that. And then on the seeing the kids theme, my daughter is in graduate school in Australia, in
Oh,
Sydney,
wow.
and I'm going to spend a month there. So
Wow.
I'm leaving on the 22nd of February. And of course, I'll be working while I'm there, but nonetheless. So I'm just really grateful that I'm gonna get some quality time with both of my kids.
That's wonderful.
That is
Yeah.
nice. Like,
Yeah.
I've never been to Australia. Alvina, have you been?
I've been twice. I love it.
Oh.
I would like to go again. I went for first time for a wedding and the second time for the Sydney Writers Festival. I was invited to join
Oh,
the visiting international publisher program. And
cool.
I talked at a SCBWI chapter there with Chris Cheng. So it was
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
nice.
it's funny. I saw Chris in New York, and so he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
let's connect, and I'll get you a chance to speak somewhere, and then that way I can write off,
Yeah.
part." Makes me think of
Yeah.
Schitt's Creek. It's a write-off.
Oh,
I can write off
RIP.
part of the, I know.
RIP Catherine
Yeah.
O'Hara. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um, no, that's great. Yes, go to Australia. Grace, what are you
yeah.
grateful for?
So yes, I'm grateful that all my flights went in and out because I was thinking about flying. Like, how long was the flight to Australia? Like, it must be really long.
Yes.
But so I'm glad that I made it to and from California without any s- big emergencies or snowstorms or delays or anything that which so I'm really grateful for that. Um, it has been so cold here that I have not done any running or outdoor exercise because it's
Me
like
neither.
-3, -8. I'm like, I'm not running. And so today though, I did not run in the morning because it was like, you know,
Too cold.
3 degrees. But around noon, it got to like an acceptable like 22, 25 degrees. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is as warm as it's going to be. I better do it. And so I ran at noon and I felt so much better. And so I'm really grateful that finally it warmed up enough because even before, like at noon, it would be still like 8 degrees. So I'm really grateful that it warmed up enough where I could actually spend some time outside. And yeah, my New Year's resolution was to like go outdoors, spend more time in
Oh,
the
right.
sunlight, but it's been so cold. I'm like, screw it. I'm not going out there. So I'm glad that I'm kind of getting back outside again. So I'm really grateful for that. And my last really big grateful is because you mentioned The Gate, the Girl and the Dragon, and Alvina just told me that The Gate, the Girl and the Dragon made it onto the ALSC notable list, which is it's a
It's a
really,
really
really hard
competitive.
list
Yeah.
to get
Hmm.
on. Like I I actually think it's probably to me it seems like the hardest list to get on of because that's the one where if you go to ALA, you can hear them, you can watch and
Yeah.
observe the librarians and the educators debate what should be on this list and what shouldn't be, and you hear like all the little things that make a book not get on the list, and you're like,
Oof.
really? You're like,
Yeah.
really?
That seems
So
like torture
yeah,
to do
Yeah.
that. Is
it's
It's
torture, but
painful.
it's also educational, and it's
Hmm.
also in some ways when you're not on the list, you're like, oh, it's okay, like it's kind of like
Yeah.
reading 1-star reviews of classics. It's like,
But it's
oh,
also wonderful when they love a book,
yeah,
like you see it
Yeah.
across the board. Like they're like, oh, I love this and I love this. And yeah.
yeah. And so to hear that I got on that list, I was like, wow, I was really, really grateful for that because, like I said, I think it's a tough list to get on. So, thank you very much,
Oh,
ALS.
Yay.
congratulations. That's amazing.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
Great. Well, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a great conversation. And that was the Writing Communities with Julie Hedlund episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Alex at Pacey Work Studio for editing this podcast. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend about it.
And tag us on social media using the hashtag BookFriendsForever, or send us a message via Instagram at BookFriendsForever_podcast, or via our website, BookFriendsForever.com. And please join our Patreon, which we're going to do something with. Yes, very soon. The link is in the show notes. Alvina, I think we're going to be hitting our year anniversary, and we should I think we're thinking
Oh,
like
gosh. This actually might post around our anniversary.
yeah,
So
so I feel like we should do
happy
like a
anniversary to us.
ask me
Me
anything
anything.
kind of
Yes.
thing. So
Okay.
if you hear this, which they probably won't because this is
It
the
might be
ending.
too late.
but
I'll post it online. I'll
yeah,
post it on
go
Instagram.
send us a question that you want us to answer on our anniversary episode.
Yes. I'm Alvina Ling, and you can find me at Planet Alvina on, you know what? No, I actually deleted my TikTok account. So you cannot find me on TikTok. You can find me at Alvina Ling on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Julie, where can people find you?
They can find me at Julie F. Hedlund on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok, although I'm very inactive there. And also at 12 by 12 Challenge on Instagram and Blue Sky. And I'm like, where else? My website is juliehedlund.com.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Um,
that's about it. And I'll give the link one more time, 12x12challenge.com/BFF if you want to register before the end of February.
oh,
Yay!
yay.
And I'm Grace Lynn, and you can find me at Pacey Lynn on Instagram and Threads, and author Grace Lynn on Facebook. And I will have deleted my TikTok by the time this airs.
Have a great week.
And don't forget to read. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.